there's always like a lag in the beginning of the video, so it doesn't start when it says it starts. I always get confused. Anyway, hello. Hope everyone's good. And so my mind map of power is this thing. This thing. Okay. So, I'm a very like wordy person. That's why it's just mostly words and like a couple colors. Um, okay, so what I got here is in the middle. We got this question. I'll put a picture of it. You can look at it later. I need to see it. And it says, "What is the nature of power?" Okay, yeah, and then connecting each of the people is like something that both those people have in common with their use of or description of power. Okay. So we start with Foucault right here, and I talk about him and how he looked at history, truth in the past to understand present truth. Identity and power are both fluid, power and discourse, knowledge and regimes of truth. So I connected him to Nietzsche by saying that power comes from within and what an individual holds to be true. So that's my little connector right there. This whole like backwards thing confuses me. And then I talk about Nietzsche, overcoming, blah, 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 blah. You all read it too. You know what he talks about. And then his whole thing with truth and like values defining power and what an individual holds to be true. Sounds familiar, huh? And so his connection thing says truth holds power. And I connected him to Neil Hilborn, who is a poet who writes about his experience of bipolar disorder. And I say that by doing this, he asserts his own truth about the illness instead of the societal perception of it, and he's able to create truth, and he holds his own truth about it. So there's power in that too. So it comes from within, and truth holds power, and that's kind of I like talking about the power of the artist in storytelling. Okay, and then my next connecty thingy is societal structure reinforces power. And that relates to Neil Hilborn because he is going against this societal structure, against the stigma that would define him as less than by telling his story. And the next person I connected that to is Weber because he talks about how class, status, and power are three separate things that interact with each other to determine like the power an individual holds. And he also says that change comes from changing societal ideas about class, status, and power, and that relates back to everything, which is a vague statement. It relates specifically back to Neil Hilborn because he is an artist expressing his ideas. And then my next connecty thingy is societal values legitimize power structures. And that goes with Weber's class and status thing, and it goes with French and Raven. I was thinking specifically of legitimate power because that's just based on societal. Well, it's not one aspect of it, which to me is the most interesting part of French and Raven is the legitimate power individuals have from societal values. Like, for example, the power I have from being white and being in a higher socioeconomic status. And the power I don't have because I'm a woman and all that stuff. And so to connect French and Raven to Foucault, I put power is fluid because the 5 types of power hold a lot of fluidity, right? Like when in the reading it was like, oh, like this person has this power, but it can change based on their ability to do this. Like with reward power, the person's power... Okay. The power of the person who gives the reward can be altered by how the recipient perceives the reward and its value. And then I made one big statement that I think applies to each of these. And it says, I wrote it like on the bottom here. Okay. It says power arises from what an individual holds to be true and how that truth plays out in interactions and relationships. Yeah. And one thing I would want to add in there is that what an individual holds to be true can be defined by that individual or by society, or most often by a combination of the two. And that's my mind map. Yeah, awesome.